So we've got a lot going on in the Championship at the moment and a lot to discuss in today's video. We've seen Nigel Adkins leave at Hull City. We've seen a couple of interesting completed deals go through in the past couple of days. And as well as that, of course, we have got a lot of transfer rumours to discuss. So if you have seen anything that we don't mention in today's video, make sure to get it in the comments down below. And I'm interested to get your take on some of the recent speculation going around the league. So if you do go on to enjoy the video, make sure you leave a like. It's always massively appreciated. Subscribe for a bit of regular Championship content as well. But apart from that, let's get into some of these stories. So we'll start the video out with the big news going around at the moment that Nigel Adkins has decided to leave Hull City. Last season, Hull finished 13th in the league. Adkins did a very good job there. Up until sort of the last 5 or 6 games of the season, Hull were in contention for the top 6. After they had quite a big clear out last summer, I was under the impression that they'd be fighting relegation for the majority of the year, but I thought that Adkins did a very good job at Hull. All the fans warmed to him. At home especially, I thought they played some good football throughout the year. However, he has made the decision to leave the club, and with the direction they look to be heading in at the moment, you know, a lot of people are interested in their star players like Grosicki and Bowen. I'd be quite surprised if they were still there at the start of the season. If Hull do have a bit of a disaster in the transfer window over these next few months and they don't get the next manager appointment right, they really could be battling it next season. And I'd be interested to know from Hull fans, who would you like to see come in and replace Adkins? At the moment, I've seen a couple of interesting names mentioned, Steve McLaren being one of them, but I do get the impression that Hull could be in for a bit of a long summer, and this may be just the start of it. Also, in terms of some of the completed deals we've seen go through in the past few days, we've seen goalkeeper David Martin move from Millwall to West Ham. Talk about a controversial move. He's the son of former West Ham defender Alvin Martin, and so the connection in that case does make sense. But even so, it's still a controversial move, and goalkeeper is going to be a position where Millwall are going to need to improve over the summer. And we also saw the swap deal completed between Birmingham and Aston Villa. Another player swapping alliances. We saw Gary Gardner going to Birmingham and Jota hopping the other way, going to Aston Villa in the Premier League. Jota once again working under Dean Smith. I'm interested to see how that works out for him. He's probably not going to be the first name on the team sheet, but maybe as an option to come on from the bench, not the worst in the world. I think that this move, it probably did make sense for both clubs actually. And Luton completed the signing of free agent Callum after he was released by Wigan Athletic. Last season for Wigan, he only made 1 start, came off the bench 21 times though. In that time, he only scored the 1 goal, didn't really have the best of seasons for Wigan. He'll be hoping to sort of rejuvenate his career at Luton now. And we also saw Daniel James make his move over to Manchester United. This one was on the cards for a little bit. We spoke about it a few videos ago. I'm quite sad to see him leave the Championship, but I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do in the Premier League. I think that if he is given time to naturally develop there, over the next few years, I think he could turn into a really exciting prospect. But those were a couple of the deals which have gone through in the past couple of days. Now, without further ado, let's hop into some transfer rumours. And today we're starting out with Leeds United. They are being linked to a lot of wingers at the moment as they look to bolster their squad going into this season. The first of which being Costa from Wolves. Now, I see this one as being quite a realistic transfer. It's looking like this one could go down as a loan deal. Last season, Costa scored 1 goal and picked up 2 assists in the Premier League. He started 16 games and made 9 appearances from the bench. Whether he struggled to adapt or just lost a bit of confidence along the way, I think a loan move back to the Championship may be just what Costa needs to sort of revitalise his career once again and get that confidence back. With his time at Wolves in the Championship, he was a very threatening player. In his 2 years in the Championship, he scored 15 goals and picked up 14 assists and is the sort of player that Leeds are in need of at the moment. The next winger Leeds are being linked to is Ryan Kent of Liverpool. He spent last season out on loan at Rangers. In that time, he scored 6 goals in 25 appearances, although they do face stiff competition from Rangers, who are trying to bring him back for next season. But if they did manage to get that done, you know, could you imagine Ryan Kent on one wing, Costa on the other, and Pablo Hernandez tucking inside to the number 10 role? It's one to keep your eye on, but I'd say that the Costa move is probably a bit more realistic. And I've also seen links with Leeds and Harry Wilson as well. After coming off the back of last season, scoring 16 goals and picking up 4 assists while on loan at Derby, the winger was always going to be in quite high demand, and Leeds are the next club said to be interested in the Liverpool winger. It's going to be a question of what Liverpool want to do with Wilson at this point of his career, whether they're looking to move him on or they're happy to send him out on loan again. I think they've stuck a price tag on him of around about £20 million. I don't think any Championship club will be going in for Wilson paying that amount of money, and if he was to make a move back to the Championship, it would have to be a loan deal. But the question that I'd ask the Leeds fans is, out of those 3 wingers, Costa, Ryan Kent and Harry Wilson, if you could get one of them on loan for next season, who would you go for? And then finally, the last bit of Leeds news for today is that Jack Harrison's also been linked with a move back there. He was on loan last season from Man City, scored 4 goals and picked up 3 assists. He was a little bit hit and miss, I felt like, during his time at Leeds. Leeds fans, let me know down below what you made of Jack Harrison. Perhaps after a full season under Bielsa, he'd be able to kick on going forward into the next season. And the next transfer rumour certainly caught my eye. Isaac Vassell being linked with a move back to Luton Town. He signed from Luton to go to Birmingham a couple of seasons ago. Since moving to the Championship, he's not really played all too many games. His injury record over the past couple of years hasn't helped him, and Birmingham are left in a bit of a difficult situation as to what to do with Isaac Vassell because they've not really seen a full season out of him yet. Birmingham also appear to be quite light with strikers going forward at the moment, you know, with them liking to play a 2-striker formation. That's somewhere that they're going to need to address this summer, especially if Che Adams is going to leave. You know, Would they risk letting go of 2 of their strikers over the summer? I'm not so sure. But the fee being talked about is around about £2 million at the moment from Luton, and Birmingham may not want to turn that down. It's a really odd one, and it's a difficult situation that Birmingham find themselves in at the moment, because it's a striker who's not had a great injury record, but I felt like if he was given the run of games, he could be a real asset for them. In many aspects, I see him as quite a similar player to Che Adams. I can see why Luton are interested in bringing him back. It's just that injury record which hangs over him, which puts the only doubt in my mind. And speaking of Birmingham and Che Adams, he continues to be linked to the Premier League. We've seen a bunch of clubs being linked over the past few weeks. Newcastle, Southampton, and now Burnley all seem to be interested in the striker. I don't think this speculation is going to go away. After scoring 22 goals last season, it's understandable to see why there are so many links at the moment. The move to Burnley would make sense. He's the type of player who Burnley typically like to go for. It's just going to be the question of what Birmingham value him at and whether the clubs are willing to pay that. Scott Hogan to Bristol City is another transfer rumour which I saw resurface during the week. Honestly, Scott Hogan's career has just really gone downhill. He had that amazing sort of half a season with Brentford where he scored 14 goals in 25 appearances. He then made the move to Aston Villa, and since that his career's never really taken off. He spent the second half of last season on loan at Sheffield United. In that time he scored 2 goals for them. I'd be very surprised if Sheffield United were to go back in for him. Aston Villa will be looking to offload him during the summer, and the move to Bristol City would make sense for his career, although I would imagine he'd need to take quite a bit of a pay cut for leaving Aston Villa. And the news which no Nottingham Forest fans wanted to hear, Joao Carvalho being linked with the move away from the club, possibly going to Olympiacos. Now, at the moment the Nottingham Forest owner also owns Olympiacos, and it may be the case that over the summer he's looking to cherry pick a couple of players from Forest to move over to Olympiacos. If that was the case, and if Joao Carvalho was to leave, it would be an absolute disaster for Forest. His Nottingham Forest record signing last season, he scored 4 goals and picked up 8 assists. However, since Martin O'Neill came in, he wasn't really the first name on the team sheet. You know, when O'Neill first did arrive at Forest, he looked to change the system a little bit, went to a 4-4-2. Carvalho as a sort of number 10 didn't fit into that system, but he's someone who I think you want to be building the squad around. You know, if Carvalho was playing in the side like, I'd say someone like Leeds last season, he's the type of player who can get into double figures for both goals and assists in my view. He's still fairly young at 22 years old, still a developing player, but he's just got something about him. One of the best sort of technical number 10s in the league in my view. I think that all Forest fans would agree that it would be a massive step backwards if they were to let go of it. One player who I'd imagine we are going to be seeing linked to the Championship over the next few months is going to be Mate Vydra. Burnley have reportedly said he's up for sale this summer. He's not really had the best of impact at Burnley, although the opportunities weren't really given to him. He only made 3 starts last season in the Premier League and came off the bench 10 times. He scored 1 goal and got 1 assist with Burnley. The move's not worked out for him, and it's more than likely that he will be making the move back to the Championship. And Sheffield United still remain to be very interested in Swansea striker Ollie McBurney after scoring 22 goals last season and picking up 4 assists. At the moment it is looking like Sheffield United are predominantly looking in the Championship to bolster their squad going into the Premier League next year. I think McBurney would be a good sign for them, still a fairly young player, but Swansea need to do everything they can to keep hold of him, especially after losing Daniel James. And the transfer rumour which was always going to pop up over the summer was Callum Robinson being linked with a move away from Preston. At the moment there are said to be 3 unnamed Premier League clubs who have inquired about the Preston winger. It's not been confirmed who those clubs are. The speculation at the moment is thinking that it's going to be Sheffield United, Aston Villa and Bournemouth, although with Aston Villa just signing El Ghazi and with them signing Jota as well, perhaps that won't be on the cards anymore. It's a difficult situation Preston find themselves in with Robinson at the moment. He's only got 1 year left on his contract. We can't be allowing him to run it down and then leave on a free, but equally to that he's a crucial player for us going forward. Last season he had a better goals to game ratio than Che Adams, Ollie McBurney and Jay Rodriguez as a winger. If he didn't get injured last season he could have gone to score, you know, 20 goals or something, which for a winger in the Championship is always going to attract a lot of interest. With the system that Sheffield United like to play, you know, they don't play with wingers. It's more than likely that unless they're looking to switch up the formation a little bit, Robinson will be played in that sort of number 10 role behind the 2 strikers. And I think it's a rumour which is going to continue to rumble on throughout the entirety of this transfer window. In terms of Preston, we're in an awkward situation. I think anything upwards of £10 million we'd probably be tempted to sell at that point. And another player from the Championship being linked to Sheffield United is Josh Brownhill. The Bristol City midfielder has been attracting a lot of interest. They had to back off a few Premier League clubs in January as well, with a couple of teams sniffing around. The last few years he's really developed his game, but would be a really good fit into that Sheffield United midfield in my opinion. I can see why this link's come up. Right back Connor Roberts has been linked to the Premier League with Bournemouth, one of the clubs said to be interested in the right back. A good player going forward, scored 5 goals for Swansea last season, can play anywhere on that right hand side, you know, can even play on the wing if you needed him to. Got a good engine going forward, makes nice overlapping runs. Defensively I think he can be caught out a couple of times, but certainly one that's developing well over the past few years. And it's looking like Derby winger Luke Thomas could be on his way to Barnsley in a deal worth about £1.2 million. The 20-year-old spent last season out on loan at Coventry where he was able to score 5 goals. And he's a player who's held in quite high regard at Derby, and I've seen a couple of contrasting opinions of what they make of this sale. But if it is first team football he's looking for, perhaps he's not going to get that at Derby over the next few years, and the move to Barnsley Barnsley probably makes sense for his career. Aston Villa are remaining very interested in Cardiff goalkeeper Neil Etheridge. He's got a relationship with manager Dean Smith after they both worked together at Walsall, but after a very impressive season in the Premier League, interest in Etheridge was always going to be very prevalent over this summer transfer window. For Villa it would be a good move, for Cardiff it would be a massive loss. And Villa have also been the latest club to be linked to Said Benrahma at Brentford after scoring 10 goals and picking up 14 assists last season. Pretty much every transfer window we go through, Brentford have their whole squad linked away from them. I would like to see him have another season in the Championship. I thought he was a very entertaining player to watch last season, but the Premier League interest does make sense. After being released by Chelsea, Todd Kane's been linked to the Championship, with Derby and Fulham the two clubs said to be most interested. Since the start of his career, he's yet to play for Chelsea, but he's had 8 loan moves out, so he's going to be looking to kickstart his career now, getting a permanent move away. He spent last season out on loan at Hull. I think that throughout those loan spells, he's proven himself to be a decent player at Championship level. And a fascinating transfer rumour, Lee Cattermole being linked with the move to Sheffield Wednesday. His time at Sunderland could be coming to an end. Even now, Lee Cattermole's a player who looks to sort of split the fan base of the Sunderland fans. They're a bit 50-50 on whether they want him to leave or not. He's still a massive earner at Sunderland, so that could be a bit of a stumbling block in the move to Sheffield Wednesday. But the question I asked the Wednesday fans is, would you like to see Lee Cattermole come? Mo Diarmi's also been linked with the move to Sheffield Wednesday. He's available on a free transfer this season after being released by Newcastle United. As much as he's sort of been turned into a meme over the past couple of years, I actually think he's a very good player in the Championship. His last season with Hull, he scored 10 goals, and despite being 31, I still think he's got quite a bit to offer. Motherwell midfielder David Turnbull's attracting a lot of attention at the moment. Celtic and Barnsley have both had bids rejected for the 19-year-old, and Bristol City's another club who are said to be interested. Last season, in 30 appearances, he scored 15 goals, and so you can understand why the player's in such high demand. But guys, there are some of the latest transfer rumours which are going around the league, so if you've seen any that we didn't mention in today's video, make sure to get them in the comments down below. Well, apart from that, thank you very much for watching. So if you did go on to enjoy, make sure you leave a like. It is always massively appreciated. As well as that, make sure you subscribe for some regular Championship content. Check out all the other links in the description down below. But apart from that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.